each week before I even come into Peak specifically, it's like I pray about, just let me connect with these people. Like let me be a light in their life today, because I know they're in a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing.
I think it's really, really important. First thing is to ensure that the individual is connected with and regulated before we do anything.
Yeah. We need less barriers to exercise. Like I think everybody knows that exercise is generally beneficial.
Right.
It's one of the most impactful tools that we have. I mean, people telling me it's been life-changing in one session. I mean, that's magical.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting, amazing, and enthusiastic episode of Finding Peaks. This is our second recording in our new studio, and I have to mention right off the bat, look at Peaks. Let's go, baby. We got it right over the left shoulder. I am feeling the energy this morning. So grateful to be joined by my great friend, colleague, and Peaks Recovery Connector, Dr. Christian Wade. Thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So grateful to have you. And we had Christian on, about 6 months ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, he was on 6 months ago, and you hadn't been working at Peaks at all by then, right?
Just do my thing.
So over the last 4 to 5 months, right?
Yeah, October, 5 months.
Over the last 5 months, Dr. Wade has come on campus. It has been a huge addition to what we do at Peaks Recovery from a holistic and clinical perspective. He comes on Tuesdays for 3 to 4 hours, meets with guests. What I always tell guests is, I often find myself saying physical therapy sometimes, and I couldn't be more misguided. I think Dr. Wade steps into any situation, meets people where they're at. I say from like a physical perspective, it's like dry needling, cupping, soft tissue, deep tissue, chiropractic work adjustments, mobility, nutrition, strength training, you name it, just a path and a way, in a trusted and connected way to your holistic health. So grateful to have you on. You've already made a tremendous impact at Peaks. What has it been like for you being on campus? Now that you've heard so much about it, you've been on the podcast, you've been meeting with me for a couple years.
Yeah.
What has that integration been like coming on site and kind of finding your groove?
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. It's an interesting journey. I didn't really know what I was hopping into, but it gives me a lot more insight on what's going on at Peaks. The care that you guys are providing, everyone speaks so highly of y'all and the team and how they feel like this, this facility is way different than anything they've ever experienced. They're getting like real healing. And then me just hopping in, it's been really neat to be part of the journey. They're all dealing with some kind of mental health. And whether it's purely suicidal ideations or maybe drug addiction or alcohol, whatever, they're there for that type of healing and recovery. And it's been nice for me to hop in and kind of approach, to be a bystander and kind of be a third party, like, hey, I'm just here for you for this hour. Let's just try to get you feeling better. Let's calm down the nervous system. It's been really incredible to see the changes we've had in one session, and it's nothing like I've experienced in the clinic setting. And kind of like you mentioned, like, yeah, it's technically some physical therapy, but it's more than that. It's wellness. And I think in your standard physical therapy approach or your standard physical therapy clinic, these people would not be successful. They would not be successful with the current state they're in, the process they're going through, being uprooted from home, et cetera, and being put in like an outpatient facility where it's like, hey, let's get on the bike, let's get warm, let's get your heart rate, hey, let's go do some exercise, and like you might push into some pain, discomfort, things like that. These people are hurting. I'm not looking to push into certain things like that. We're always looking, always want to get to some kind of movement or load in general, but I'm just there to try to open up some windows of opportunity to talk to them and like speak on the wellness side and, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? Like, how much are you sleeping? Can we talk about moving a little bit more today? But yeah, I've had some incredible experiences just in 5 months of, people telling me it's been life-changing in one session. I mean, that's magical, and it speaks to, I think the place that they're in, like it speaks to Peaks and the environment that y'all are creating. I'm just happy to be a piece of that puzzle.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. You don't even think about that when you first start. You think we're coming in, we got the table, we're doing this PT thing. But this really unique opportunity, and I think you said it best, like, yeah, these people need holistic physical therapy. And that's not something that their insurance, unfortunately, covers. nor would they be able to walk in a clinic from a mental health perspective and receive this benefit. It would just be too much for them.
Yeah.
It's too sterile, it's not connected, you only see the practitioner for 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
You know, they'd walk right out of there. And so you're offering a resource, in my opinion, a life-changing and a life-saving resource that otherwise isn't offered in our current medical model, our current healthcare system. And that's really unique and really, really cool. And maybe something of which I didn't even identify when we brought you on 5 months ago. But been a huge add-on. I was, we do surveys every week.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so people come in, we do a survey within the first 24 to 48 hours. Hey, how's the onboarding experience? How's everything going? You know, real-time feedback. We aggregate the data. We have a director meeting on Thursday afternoon. We compile the data and graph it out and chart it out and look for like rhymes and reasons, just for an opportunity to improve. And so we have discharge surveys as well. So they go through each week and they talk about it and get to the end. And we just had a guest discharge last week who, I believe in our clinical model more than anything. We have a great clinical team, solid medical department. But out of everything that she went through in 30 days of Peaks Recovery, she said that the time she had to meet with you was the most impactful.
Wow.
I mean, that's a wild thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Gives me
and
chills.
This is the person, I believe, that you're not even necessarily doing much more than calming down the nervous system.
Yeah.
You know, connecting her with some regulation tools. Just sitting in the space. And I think that's hard sometimes for people to do, especially my experience and in our current healthcare system is people don't do that. They don't build the trust, and then they can't walk with and see the change.
Sure.
You know, so
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we had 2 sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is another, like you said, creating the space, you know, and I may see a client once, I might see him 6 times. I never really know. And so I think in my PT brain, you know, I have some sort of agenda. You know, I want to achieve X. I want to get them to this goal. You know, obviously matching with what they want. But I've had to kind of step back and slow down. It's like, let's just focus on 1 hour at a time. How can I meet you where you are today? You know, and some of the clients already have outpatient appointments. They're going to see cardiologists or someone off site. Those probably aren't super enjoyable, you know, whereas I can be on site and it's like, hey, just step in this room, let's chat, let's calm some stuff down, let's get you feeling better, and hope that carries through better sleep, better movement throughout the week. And we know there's such a strong tie with mental and physical health. So yeah, with that individual, if I'm thinking of the same one, I mean, comes in, and I think even on the intake was all about like learning how to calm her nervous system, getting the heart rate down, how to do that on her own, many ways. And so she went from a resting heart rate at 112 to 70, you know, within breathing, right? So we did some diaphragmatic breathing, some calming stuff, and yeah, it was incredible.
That's so
some
cool.
Interesting reports came out of that session too, for sure.
Yeah. We have all these medicines and all these things you can buy and all these guns and tools and massages, and you know, like I found myself in the morning after my training session literally laying in the grass in my underwear, just like grounding to the earth, getting some sunshine on my face, because it was like, you know, it's gonna be 60 degrees today. I love what you talk about with that guest, because the admissions team several years ago adopted a motto, and I've said it before on Finding Peaks. It's listen first, solve later. Like just like you as a doctor and, you know, in and out of clinics and your private practice and doing what you do, we all have these like tremendous tasks lists. We have acknowledgements we need to get signed, we have waivers, and we have these things, and I need to assess, and I got 26 pieces of paper I need you to sign in 14 minutes right when you get here, because I got to get you over to nursing, then you got to go to this and psychiatry and psychiatry. And something I've really been indoctrinating the team with lately is this listen first, solve later. Especially when you're dealing with acute mental health symptoms, or even acute substance use symptoms, or substance use withdrawal symptoms, or post-acute withdrawal symptoms. I think it's really, really important, first thing, is to ensure that the individual is connected with and regulated before we do anything.
Yeah.
Because you can just get lost in the sauce. People that like, they're coming in, tons of anxiety. It's like, so now in the intake process, I'm really preaching to everybody, hey, all the directors, let's come out and meet this individual. It's all about listen first, solve later. We got BHTs doing the intake. We've redone the intake room. It's got a water feature. That's what I thought about the water feature. It's got a water feature. It's very calming. There's 2 couches. There's no computer, no desk. It's shh.
That's awesome.
And we book an hour for something that should take 15 minutes. And I'm like, let's just chill out here, man.
Yeah.
How you doing? Like, you like dogs? I like dogs. He's just very much like connecting, building trust, and then we get on with it. Same thing with the nursing assessment. It's like, listen first, solve later. And so it's interesting, you just being at Peaks, it just shows that like you have this side to in your repertoire for behavioral health to really sit, regulate, and then work with people, which is rare and unfounded, but it's like instantly a part of our culture, which is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something didn't really know, but having my own practice, it's something I've gotten consistent feedback with was that, I was thorough, but that I listened. In our traditional medical model, everything is so overly medical and unnecessarily medicalized that it's jumping through all the red tape, it's all fast, we got to get to the next person. I mean, last time you went to primary care, you can't tell me you weren't rushed out of there, right? Because they got 3 more right behind you. So it's just a different experience, and I love being able to give the person the time of day. I'm here, time is valuable, you're paying for my time, I'm just here to listen and facilitate healing and however I can. Yeah, it's been powerful in my own practice and then over at Peaks.
Yeah.
And certainly some interesting experiences.
Yeah. I had a guy, I'm thinking about it, maybe it was Monday or Friday, comes running up, Chris, am I the oldest person to ever come here? And I'm like, I don't think so, man. I was like, I've done CrossFit with someone who was 80 years old before, and I tried to help her, and she told me, get the fuck out of here. I was like, she was the greatest, man, but I was trying to help. I was like, yeah, you're working out with me today. She's like, no, I'm not, man, I'm doing the whole thing. And I was talking to this guest, and he was like, I'm 82. And I was like, no way, man, you look 40. He looks great. But he was raving about your services too. He's a local guy here.
Yeah, yeah, that guy said, I think I saw him technically once. We had a quick session, and then we did a full session. He said, that's the best physical therapy I've ever experienced. And I was like,
yeah, man.
First of all, I think of, that sounds great. It means that I'm doing what I want to be doing. But then I'm like, that also kind of sucks. Like, why aren't other people doing that? What are your other experiences?
Yeah.
Probably like you.
And these aren't people that don't have like resources, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to get the best things.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure he's been a PT many times by 82, right? Yeah, it's really interesting to be in this space and just try to make a powerful impact. And, something that I've really taken on recently, diving into more of my faith. And I think, each week before I even come into Peak specifically, it's like I pray about, just let me connect with these people. Like let me be a light in their life today because I know they're in a lot of darkness. Yeah. And it's been amazing.
Yeah, man. I've been taking an opportunity to do that in the morning too. Just really praying for like favor for these people.
Yeah.
Because when you learn, when you sit with humans within a human experience with a large story, you begin to learn that a lot of people suffer in very, very deep ways and have been impacted by that suffering, and it's informing their lives. And they don't want to be suffering. No. They want a way out. But at every turn, because of our medical model and the nonsense that people walk through, it's like clinic to clinic to clinic to clinic to verification to verification to verification. And we see so many people that have been to 10, 15 programs, and they're like, geez, like, it's not that I haven't been trying.
Yeah.
So that's something really, really cool I think that we offer and that we do is even with the access to care that we've created through in-network contracting. Like, I was walking someone around on a tour the other day, and I'm like going through the thing, and I'm like, this is where we do PT, and it's volleyball, and this is disc golf, and they were like, did my insurance pay for all of this? I was like, no.
Yeah.
We care deeply. A lot of the things I mentioned your insurance doesn't pay for. But if it can be an add-on and a benefit to your care and create a better outcome and quality of life for you and the people you care about.
For sure.
Like, we feel like it's valuable for you.
Yeah.
You know, same with your stuff. You know, there are some folks that go ahead and pay for that on the front end, but then other people don't. And then I sit with them and I'm like, you could benefit from this. Let me give you this.
Mm-hmm.
And that first person I talked about with the survey was the exact thing.
Yeah.
And so it was a wildly impactful.
Yeah.
So for me, that's everything.
Yeah.
Because
like you said, huge value add on to the whole facility in general.
Mm-hmm.
She's raving about it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, we're in such a day and age of reviews online and Google, and it's important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they matter a lot, but I've found over the years that the best business development people are the guests that have come through your care, the people you've had the opportunity to touch,
Mm-hmm.
the families that have been impacted. I mean, I've changed my number a couple times since I've been out here, and it's like 3-4 people a month. I'm just like, Aaron, talk to this person, this person. The web is long now.
Yeah.
If it's 2,500 clients that have came through the program, we'll give each one of them a +2, and that's probably being conservative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so now we're talking almost 10,000 people impacted, whose families are impacted.
Yeah.
So what you're doing today matters, not only today, but long term in this world in a pretty cool way. And maybe I've talked about it with you, but I read this book. It's called Greatness.
Okay.
Have I ever told you about it?
I don't know.
Okay, so this is sports psychologist, Dr. Cook, Dr. David Cook, PhD. Don't quote me on that. But the title of the book is Greatness, right?
Okay.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I'll say it again because I think it's valuable. So he's a sports psychologist, 45 years, worked with people like Tim Duncan, a bunch of PGA Tour winners, golfers, tennis players, hockey players. Mm-hmm. And he begins to work with them like when they're in these huge slumps of their career, they're supposed to be at these spots and you know, they're not excelling the way they're supposed to. And one of the first stories in the book is about Tim Duncan and how he's in this slump and da-da-da. He works with Dr. Cook. And then they go on and he pulls out of the free throw slump, goes on to win how many ever games, wins, 5-6 titles, all these things. But he goes on to say, like towards the middle of the book, he's like, well, all these people I've worked with, these doctors, these lawyers, these athletes, these high affluent people that are chasing these prizes and these big things that are really difficult to do. Getting there never provided a level of happiness that they ever thought, right? It's like becoming a doctor. It's like, I'm sure you'd be like, it was really nice, but like what I do now fills me up more than like the certificate did, even though I thought when I got that thing, I'm like, oh God, like, so same kind of thing. So he's working with all these people and they're getting these awards and these medals and they're just like 6 out of 10 quality of life. They're like, what is it? Because we're at the highest degree of our profession and we're at the top. But that old saying that it's lonely at the top, and I don't know if that's true, but what he goes on to say in his hypothesis is that greatness is defined as selfless exceptionalism. So like you don't have to do the things you do. You could just do all the mechanical stuff. Physical, I'm sure it would be awesome. Yeah. So that's what I sold on the front end. I didn't know you were gonna do all the other cool stuff that really matters. Like you could do all of that, but you do the other stuff. And so what he says is greatness is defined as selfless exceptionalism. It's what we do with our God-given ability to make the world around us better. And so all that other stuff is nice, but when we start creating real impact in the world, it's like one person I talk to at a time that tells me they had a good day at Peaks, and I'm like, there's another year. Like, I'll just keep driving for you because I can see so clearly. And when I go to sleep at night, and when I talk to God in the morning, I know this path and this process is blessed because of what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel really good about that. And I also feel really good about having like-minded professionals around us that have the business in mind and the guest in mind and balance those things really, really well. It's tough to do sometimes.
For sure.
So what else you got going on in the community? It seems like you're real busy with Concierge Wellness. You're doing the CrossFit stuff. You're at a couple different places, right?
Yeah, so updates are, we started in the home gym. I was doing mobile stuff. That's kind of how I met you. I backed off some of the mobile stuff. I still see 1 or one client in particular that's kind of a long-term client. And I got my own space. So I work inside of a gym called Momentum Training Center. It's off Garden of the Gods in Nevada, so just south of Trader Joe's area.
Nice.
So it's a private gym for personal training, one-on-one personal training. There's only 2 trainers in there, and me and another colleague use that room. It's a treatment room.
Okay.
Similar size of this, and we got a couple tables in there, and that's where I'm doing my practice now.
Okay.
So I'm mostly there. I'll see a few people at a CrossFit in my house because it's so close to the gym.
Okay.
So evenings and weekends, but yeah, we've really cranked up in the clinic and partnering with these trainers. Trying to be a resource for them. We're doing some more, like lunch and learns and continue education on site. And then diving in the CrossFit space. So I've been treating weightlifters and CrossFitters for a couple of years now, but now I'm joining that CrossFit niche, right? And so I'm a member. I'm at the gym 3 to 5 days a week with those people, and I get to see the volume and the things that they're going through, so I can better, serve them in the rehab process or whatever they're dealing with. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of negative connotations or negative assumptions growing up and then going through PT school about CrossFit and how it's dangerous and all these things. It's just another mode of exercise, and that it's not harmful if you're coached right at it. It's actually really beneficial, and I think the intensity in the community is what's most powerful.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun getting in there and working out hard.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. We're oftentimes trying to tie people into community as a resource.
Yes.
And it's such a valuable resource. In fact, I've been quoted as saying it a million times, like it may be the single greatest resource. So I love getting people involved in that. We have Dan down at the boxing gym that
I just met him Tuesday. Yeah. I want to go check him out.
Yeah, man, it's free.
He invited me to the High Rocks he was doing this morning, but I couldn't make it. But I told him
I think every Tuesday, Thursday he's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a great dude.
I told him I was going to go do it after I was done training for the Albuquerque Open, but maybe when I get back from Florida.
Okay.
Seems fun. He has a couple guests down there, and he invites them all down there, dude. And I've even sent people from my jiu-jitsu gym down to him, and they go down there like every Saturday.
Training or
do
what?
Boxing. They do it.
It's boxing.
Like an open gym boxing class on. It's either Saturday or Sunday morning.
It's all free.
It's all free.
No memberships or anything?
Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
He does some ministry.
It's
out of
his
it too?
bridge, yeah, because it's his nonprofit, the Bridge or whatever. So it's his bridge boxing thing.
Okay.
So all the bridge events, you can go on their website. All the bridge events are free.
Wow.
And then Adam Vigil with Unbreakable Ministries. Dude, you got to know all those guys. Really good people.
Okay.
Adam Vigil with Unbreakable Ministries has a huge, I think he's got a church, gym, the whole thing. But you have to pay to go to that one. But he's got wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, probably some other shit too, like Krav Maga. I mean, they're all a bunch of fighters down there, but big, passionate, like disciple-driven kind of people. And
nice.
They have a good message, and they're doing really good things.
Yeah.
And they've come from just crazy spots, man.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the community piece is huge. I think we need less barriers to exercise. Like I think everybody knows that exercise is generally beneficial.
Right.
It's one of the most impactful tools that we have that's non-pharmaceutical. Arguably more impactful than most pharmaceuticals, but that's a different soapbox to be on. But just the community drive, being in CrossFit, being at, ClassPass, or being in a different community like group fitness is way more beneficial. And they've done studies on this. People who are in group fitness are way more accountable. They're more consistent.
Running clubs.
Yeah,
it is so hard. People that see me, they're like, oh, it must be easy. Like, it's so hard to wake up on your own, like for anybody.
Yeah.
Who's not possessed, like, people like, but it's like, it's very hard to do that, man. I remember being like 5-10 years ago being like, hey man, you're gonna come work out, you're gonna miss the workout, I'm going inside. Now I'm like, dude, I'm starting to work out without you.
Yeah.
Or I just don't work out with people.
Yep.
But it's so much better, you're right. It's interesting you say that. So there are studies that show that the group fitness, 100%. Probably from a mental health perspective, like, I bet they haven't even done a study on it, but like negative self-talk, self-image, because oftentimes these like group fitnesses too are like so encouraging.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it's like everywhere, but I know for me it's CrossFit and Dimmick and Fountain, and I mean just a simple fist pump, dude. Like you were all grinding through the same workout. We might scale it a little bit different, but we're all pushing ourselves a little harder, and the people around us are cheering us on. And it's like, hey man, good workout. Like glad you showed up today.
Yep.
That's powerful. If you're in the gym doing it by yourself, unless you're as disciplined as you, like a lot of people aren't, they're not as excited, right? But if I know I'm going to show up, I'm going to get some guidance through the workout, some coaching, we're going to get some fist bumps, we're going to be excited about it, the day is way better.
Yeah. And people are expecting me to be there. You know, eventually they're expecting you to be there.
Right.
They're like, hey dude, it's Tuesday, bro, I missed you, where were you?
Yeah.
Now it's like this accountability thing, but it's not like, hey, you missed your fucking workout. It's like, hey dude, like we work out together, so we do, like it's our thing.
Yeah, I texted someone yesterday, I said, hey, we missed you at the 8:15 class.
Yeah.
Hope everything's going all right.
Yeah,
you know,
see,
like, trying to
that's
keep
so
them in there.
huge.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 22 years old and I missed like an AA meeting, which I swear, dude, in like 5 years, I probably missed like 3 vacations and everything. And they would just be like, hey man, where you at? You all right? I'm like, huh. People care.
Yeah.
You know, so that community thing is so freaking powerful.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. That's why I think people run faster in races. Not only are they like going full clip, they got different shoes on, but it's a community thing.
Yeah.
You're not out training by yourself. Like you have these endorphins firing. Maybe I don't know the scientific approach behind it, but I always, from like my best training run, like I'll use Garden of the Gods for example. My best training run per mile for the 10-mile loop in Garden of the Gods back in 2023 was probably 7:15, 7:20. And that race day was like 6:35.
Wow.
Just,
Yeah.
because I'm just like people and like animals and nature, and I'm just like, I could blow through a mountain right now. This is incredible. People are cheering, playing bagpipes. You know, that race
that's
is
a
cool.
good race.
It's a good one, man.
I did a booth there.
I don't have to do it anymore because it was like this whole thing. I told you about it. You weren't seeing me when I was doing that.
I wasn't seeing you at that one, but it might have been 23. I was there at the finish line with the booth working on people.
Yeah, I think that's when I did that 100-mile race with Andrew, alumni at Peaks. It's how we met Dr. Wade. So Andrew went through the program back in 2016, so 10 years ago. And now he's an ultra marathon runner. And one of his first 100-mile races, he wanted to come back to Colorado Springs and do like this. This is a good story. So he wanted to come back to Colorado Springs, do this race, but he lived at sea level in New York.
Yeah.
So he came out here or whatever. So he's like, yeah, you're going to run the last 20 miles with me. I'm like, bet, dude, this will be spiritual, bro.
Yeah.
And I go meet him at the aid station at like 42 miles up on one of these mountains over here. And he's like, man, this altitude's really getting to me. I'm like, you think?
Yeah.
He's like, probably, you know, you're at the beach
8,000?
yesterday and now you're literally sending it through the mountains. But he figured it out. And, but at the end of it, Dr. Wade had a booth and Andrew laid down. I think he even fell asleep. Like,
You fell asleep getting dry needle.
getting dry needle.
Yeah.
And from that moment I snagged your card and that was the whole deal.
Yeah.
But it's very cool what can be done in community. And I often talk about it, I even talk about it on the front of the show. It's like the most important thing for me is ensuring that our guests have an opportunity to leave, potentially if they choose, with a great resource to their right and to their left, both of which can be their friends.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's so powerful. We had this guy come in, I toured him a couple weeks ago, got a lot of anxiety, man. A lot of anxiety. And he had a lot of anxiety through the tour, but it was all good, man. I could just tell he just needs some connection. Just connection cools things out. And the first night he's in the program, he calls his family in the evening. He's like, yeah, I just don't think this is the place for me. Right in the morning, by 6 a.m., we're all on a thread being like, okay, we're gonna show him some love today, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go get two of our more senior guests who are young adults and just go like jam with them, you know what I mean? Let them know like, hey, this is what we're doing tonight for games. This is what we're doing for, bingo. We got bingo later. We're watching a movie at the house. We're gonna do some basketball outside. Just want you to know like you're coming with us, like you're with us today. And boom, dude, I see him at lunch yesterday and he's like,
Wow.
I'm like, let's go, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and some of these people, like they get washed up in like these psychiatric hospitals and they're gone, dude. I'm not telling you, like gone forever. And we get to be at this moment with people like at 20 years old, yeah, they had a psychotic break, okay, sure thing. What would cause the mind to break would be what a curious provider might ask. Instead of just like, here's a medication, good luck with your life, right? So I get to see these people and there's these young people, man, they're 20, they're in college, something happens and the load becomes too heavy and they end up in our program. But oftentimes they come from a hospital and the hospitals are like, I don't know. And throughout the first couple weeks of our program, they're like on the edge of going back to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because they're on the edge. But then 30 days in, they make these changes, and you can see when people start reconnecting with them, like the power of this movement. And by the time they leave, and maybe for them it takes 45 days in inpatient, but you can see so clearly that like the wrong provider, that's why I'm so bullish on this mental health thing and doing it the right way. Having the right people wrapped around it and informing safety and walking with people is because like otherwise, they get chewed up and spit out and readmitted, chewed up and spit out and readmitted. And by the time they're 25 years old, they have nothing.
Yeah.
They're done forever.
Which is terrible for them.
Real bad.
Great for profit.
Yeah.
Right? But y'all don't even have that approach. It's like, how can we help them long term? We don't want them readmitted. That's not our goal.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure y'all track readmission rates and all that.
Yeah.
But I love the community that y'all emphasize on campus, just being there a few months. I don't try to dig a whole lot on people's stories, but if they talk, I'll listen, of course, and I'll ask a little bit of questions. But, you know, I've had a lot of good feedback of, I'm like, hey, so, you know, when are you heading out? They're discharging this week. Like, oh, did you meet some friends here? Like, yeah, I got a text group with like 5 other girls. Like, we're super close. You know, they bond through that trauma and that healing process, and they build these lifelong connections that they would have never had if they're isolated in some kind of ward or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then y'all are hiking all the time. Like,
you're getting outside.
Hiking. The other day I was walking out. Bobby was going to get food for like a movie night or something. Like, so much going on there.
Just trying to have activities in the evening, connect people with community. And, you know, one of those rare things in an inpatient facility, like getting people off campus to go get some sun on their face. Yeah. You know, Pulpit Rock, Garden of the Gods. Yesterday they were at Blodgett Open Space. Wow. Just cruising around, man. Yeah. Doing their thing.
What a wild concept.
I know.
Go get some sunlight.
I know. And I love what you said about the relationship, the friendship thing. Because I think sometimes, well, at least back when I used to go to treatment, you know, almost 20 years ago, it's like, you're going to go in and it's going to be a lot of drug addicts, you know. If you go to the right program and you all are eating and digesting the same food and walking with each other, in 30 days, it's not foolish to think that you might develop 2 of the greatest friends you've ever had in your life. Because in 30 days, you're going to talk about what most people will never find out in their entire life. In 30 days.
Through those conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You're going to find out through the therapy, through the conversations, through the connection, what some people won't know their entire lives. And that will, yes, difficult to deal with and walk through, that will ultimately create an opportunity for a happiness and a quality of life, if well directed and guided, that most people can't touch, in my opinion. And then you go back to what you're talking about with, you know, I think when you talk about diet and exercise and sunlight and cold water and jacuzzi and saunas, and we talk about it so much because I've suffered with the absence of all of those things. And I thought in that time period that it was just what happens is when you get past 25. You know?
Most people do.
And so then recovered out of that, and it wasn't about recovering, I hadn't drank for years. Yeah. But now, in the morning, this thing happens when you get up, and sometimes you want to and sometimes you don't, and then you do this other thing, and then I always find it when I just put whatever weight in my hand, and sometimes I'm like, dude, today's a 75% day. I'm just going low and slow, nice and easy. It's all cool, man. We're just doing an hour in here. But there's something that happens from a mental health perspective directly correlated with the weight thing. It's like the 3rd or 4th set in. It doesn't matter if I'm doing heavy, as long as I'm getting the blood flow going. Right away, I get this pop, and it like sparks in my brain, and I feel better. Yeah. Is that just serotonin? Like,
yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think the biggest benefit is that increase in blood flow, right? You know, you release stress hormones as you stress your body. And then, what'd you mention?
Just lifting the weights.
Yeah.
I mean, and the reason I bring it up is because I think sometimes people look at others, and I used to do this and be like, well, I can't do what he does, or I'm not going to do what he does, or I don't have time for that. It's in the simplest of movement moments that I'm inspired from a mental health perspective. It's not like these, I loved, you know, going on these big things and doing heavy weights and doing jiu-jitsu stuff, but like I'm more often inspired in these simple moments. For sure. You know? So just making sure that the template is clear for people, that it is like, it's a much easier process to get into than we set it up to be.
Yeah, and I think like most things health and wellness related, it can feel so complicated, right? We have all these gadgets and all these new diets and all these, you got to eat this, you can't eat that. Just a wild world out there of all this information and misinformation, but it's really basic. It's really simple. It's not easy, but it is truly simple, right? So we need to eat well, move often, stress management, sleep well, all the things. And I think, I talk to clients about that each session. I try to, not throw it on them all in the first time. So if I'm seeing them multiple times, I'm dropping these nuggets each time, how'd you sleep last night? Can we get some more water in today? Certain small steps, but I like how your facility facilitates a lot of those opportunities. You're not forcing anyone to do it, but you walk in the cafeteria, there's a salad bar all day long, ready to go, waiting on you if you want it. There's yoga classes. I'm sure you're not billing and getting paid for yoga classes from insurance. They're not paying for that, unfortunately. They'll pay for the pill, but not the yoga and the movement, right?
No breath work.
No, but you're doing it. You got yoga, now you have, PT, some private stuff on site. You got all the outings, no one's paying for that, but y'all are facilitating healing through many outlets. And I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's been cool to really bring the team together over the last 10 months and just get the right people in the right positions so that we can do the right work. And Peaks has always built a name for quality of care, but we want to have organizational care. We want to be organized in our approach. We want to be systematized in our approach. You and I have often talked about it, how important it is for guests and professionals to be able to experience that sophistication in that organization. And so looking for opportunities to grow one day at a time. Super grateful for you. Love having you on the show. Remind everybody of your website before we jump off.
So Concierge Wellness and PT.com. You can just search Concierge Wellness, especially in Colorado Springs. It should pop up as the first one. And like you said, I'm at Peaks Recovery now, 3 to 4 hours a week. That might expand. I'm potentially bringing on a massage therapist this year, and that could be another opportunity we could chat about. But yeah, working with more trainers now, been seeing athletes for several years. And so I have like my athletic population and then, the certain individuals at Peaks, and it's such a fascinating experiences.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I've already talked to a couple of people who are like, I'm going to be seeing him when I get out of here. Now he's got his office off Garden of the Gods, so very much central, north central, closer to us up here at Peaks.
That's right.
Yeah, super grateful for it, man. Well, thanks for coming on. And we'll do another check-in and maybe in the summertime. See how things are going.
Awesome. I appreciate the time.
Cool, you got it. Thank you, Dr. Wade. Until next time, my beautiful people.